Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the UE Commuters EHC Scholarship Week. Sorry about that, everybody. Yes, having all kind of issues, but guess what? Satan and get we done today. I want to thank you so much for joining us. Today is going to be an amazing day. We're going to learn a lot. Yeah, and as I always say, whenever I'm at events like this, grab your notebook, guys, and grab your pen. I have mine right here, and ensure that you're ready to learn and write down everything that comes from this amazing session. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Aishiba Cornwall. Some people call me the Energy Queen. I am headed into my final year at the University of the West Indies. I'm an integrated marketing communications major. Just a little bit about me. I consider myself to be a social advocate for youth empowerment. I love to use my platform to empower, to educate young people. I'm also a radio host. I'm starting my own radio show, coming this June, actually, called Woman Up. And I am excited and I'm honored to be your host for this afternoon. So we're just going to get it started, We're not going to stay too long. So the first the first guest that we'll be having today, or the first speaker rather, is none other than Miss Anisha Lancaster. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you a little bit about who this individual is. So Anisha Lancaster is a development enthusiast and environmental advocate with a strong interest in policy and sustainable development. Currently serving as a policy analyst in the public service, she has a Bachelor of Science in Social Policy and Development and is currently pursuing a Master's of Science in Sociology. Anisha is passionate about the intersection of education, output and development, ICT and digital transformation, human development indicators, sustainable livelihoods, SIDs, SIDS and development, housing and education, innovation in agriculture, which inspired her learning in digital marketing, education and training, and grant writing. Now, as a proud past student of Marnt Bay High School, Anisha credits much of her success to this Carpe Diem family, who provided her first scholarship in third form and sponsored herself and 3 others up to the end of sixth form. Now, this is a part you should be listening to, Anisha, a 2011 NCB National Scholar, was among the only trio ever selected by this esteemed foundation for full scholarship. She has also won other scholarships from the OAS to complete training in grant writing and digital marketing. As a student of development, she's passionate about the underdevelopment of rural parishes, including St. Thomas, where she has recently launched a foundation, the Amazing You Foundation, to bring financial resources, information, and opportunities to rural children to help them achieve more. Anisha gives much to community through pro bono writing services or general advice to young people. Serves on several committees, including the PTA at Marnt Bay High School, the National Conference Planning Committee of the United Pentecostal Church of Jamaica, freely promotes empowering information across social media platforms at Amazing Docs 365JA. I'm going to say that one more time so that you can just write that down, at Amazing Docs 365JA. She is a 2021 GGAA, that's the Governor Achievement Awardee, right? Governor General Achievement Awardee, I hope I got that right. A trained mentor and an author waiting in the wings. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you to the virtual stage, of course, Miss Anisha Lancaster. Anisha, the stage is yours.
Good evening, Aishiba and everyone. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I do feel that I am in the company of wonderful people. If you are hearing me clearly, do indicate in the chat or by using your reaction. Thank you. And so it is indeed a pleasure to be here to share with young people as it relates to opportunities and how to market ourselves. And I hear of your major being integrated communication and marketing, which is something that is very good. It is something that is leading our future as we face the pandemic and we move from what would have been brick and mortar style, approaches to more online and more digital resources. And so it is an opportunity for me to be here this afternoon, and I want to thank you. Thank you to the external committee and all the members of the Youth Pelican group that has been involved in the planning of this session. Today, I hope I'm able to share. I will not be telling anything that is rocket science or anything that is brand new, but I want to share really a few tips that I personally use and continue to use to engage with scholarship providers and to seek opportunities to put myself forward. So the topic that I've been asked to speak on is writing a winning scholarship essay. And believe you me, the presentation that I'm going to make, it is very short and very simple. Firstly, if nothing else is said that is of value in this session, I want you all to believe this. Dream your dream and then tell your story. If you have a dream, if you have a plan, if you have a desire, if you have a goal, see that dream. And after you've seen that dream, don't just keep it to yourself, but then tell other people about it. And that really is a winning scholarship essay. So really, I am going to suggest 5 steps or 5 approaches that I summarize right by dream. So first, I want all of us to dream of where we want to go and how we want to get there. For some of us, it is to become the next Twitter owner or the next multimillionaire. For some of us, it is to become the next doctor. For some of us, it is to become the first Jamaican in space. For some of us, it might be nobler dreams, but the fact is, irrespective of what our dreams are, we have important dreams. And those dreams, sometimes, in order for them to come to pass, we must get the assistance of others. So having conceived that dream, I wanted when I was much younger to become a mathematician. At the time, I was probably 7 and I didn't know what the profession involved. So I had to do research. After you've dreamt your dreams, research about it. Maybe what you're dreaming of is not what is for you. When I was in primary school and I was getting 99 and 100 in mathematics, I really felt as though, this was my future. But when I got to Martley High School and I was now in 3rd form and I'm getting 25 and I'm getting 30, I had to re-evaluate. In doing your research and in doing your planning, it is very important to speak to advisors, to seek the guidance of your mentors and your role models, and for them to help us to understand how did they get to where they are and what from where they went through can inform us to better plan. Because advice really is taking the bad experiences of the past and putting somebody else's positive perspective to it. Because none of us can do the same thing twice and not learn anything from the experience. So if your mentor became a doctor and they did X, Y, and Z, maybe you can take it, do X and Y, and still accomplish what you need to accomplish. And in doing your research, it is also important to research about your funders. If your funders are particular about a particular cause, for example, I am in the area of development, and so a number of persons that I would apply to would be in the area of, for example, sustainable development and the SDGs. These are important to particular funders. You might be, for example, applying to another group of funders who are in information communication, they're in digital marketing. You might be with another group of funders who are in food security and they're in nutrition. So it is important to understand the philosophy of your funder when you're writing, because it doesn't make sense you are going to be writing to somebody who is all about the environment and you're telling about how every year, when there's a beach cleanup, you don't go because you don't believe in cleaning the beaches or something like that. So you do not want to cause the spirit of your essay to be counter with the spirit of your funder. So you must know them. And one of the ways to know what your funders are all about is to read their instructions. It is probably one of the simplest things to do, but it is one of the things that most of us, we just take it for granted. We're applying for a scholarship, so we know what they want. They want X, Y, and Z. Sometimes I remember recently I was applying for a position in grant writing, and one of the questions asked for 200 characters, and one of the questions asked for 200 words. The question with 200 characters, I was saying was, I don't know 200 words to answer this. But when I went and read the instructions again, it did not say 200 words, it said 200 characters. So simple things like these are in the instructions, and it is important that we read the instructions. In writing our dreams, really, and writing to bring our dream to light, we must edit, we must evaluate, and we must review our draft. So in the first stage, when we're just dreaming about who we are and where we're going, we can randomly write any version of our story, because at the end of the day, it is our story. But when we get to this stage where we're really thinking about applying to X foundation, we must be editing according to the structure that they ask. Some scholarship foundation will say, you're allowed to use your free voice. Some scholarship foundation will say, okay, we need it according to APA convention, or we need it according to X convention. So you must be editing to conform to the particular structure that they ask for. Another important thing here is to embrace your unique voice. I remember in the 2011 scholarship round, at that point, NCB scholarship evaluation was less intense as it is now. Today, there's a whole matter of emotional intelligence and a lot of things put together. Then it was really an interview and an assessment, and you're graded. And I remember in the assessment stage, when we all came together, there was, for example, a young man from Kingston Central. His name was Mario, and he wanted to become an educator. And when he told his story of how he lost his entire family, and how it was a teacher that raised him and allowed him to believe in himself, you recognize why for him, becoming an educator was just so natural, because he was who he is because of what an educator did for him. For him, that would have been an educator. For somebody else, it might have been the postman. For somebody else, it might have been a character from a movie. Whatever your unique voice is, whatever your unique selling point is, do not try to copy and paste Oprah Winfrey's story. Do not try to copy and paste somebody who you don't even know, but because you heard that they have a great story, you try to mimic that. But come with your unique voice and tell your unadulterated truth to the scholarship committee. Sometimes they will be inspired just because you came with that uniqueness. Enunciate your skills. One of the things in applying for scholarship is that everybody who's applying think that they're qualified. Everybody who's applying already believe that they have the academics to support their application. The committee, therefore, is not looking for more academics. They're not looking for more A's or more A pluses. They're looking for people with qualities and experiences that distinguish themselves from everybody else. They're looking for the person who dares to stand out. And in doing all of this, it is very good to be passionate and everything, but it doesn't make sense to be passionate and decide to write at the beginning of the introduction, there is, or I, and mismatch your grammar, mismatch your subject and your verb just because you're telling a passionate story. Remember always to conform to the rules of grammar, writing, and writing conventions. Having done that, you're almost ready to submit the application. And one of the things I've learned really, even in applying for the Marcus Garvey Scholarship very recently, is that the personal essay tends to be the last lap of the way. So one of the things that you need to be doing when you're putting together everything is that you need to assess your eligibility as a candidate. When I just left undergrad, I wanted to apply to the OPEC Foundation for International Development, OFID scholarship. But one of the requirements for that scholarship is that in order to apply, you must be 24. I was leaving school at 22. So I recognized then that it was too early for me to apply. There's another scholarship, for example, that came out since this year. When COVID was at its height, they were accepting online courses, and I applied. Then I didn't get through. Global Electricity Partners, I believe. But since this year, when they released their requirements, they indicated that they're no longer sponsoring online courses. In order to be sponsored, you must be present on campus in another country to study. So I therefore knew that that was not the one for me. So assess your eligibility, and you're also assessing your revised draft according to the instructions of your fund and your knowledge that you would have researched about your funders. Read it through. It is advised really that you read it through aloud, because sometimes what you're thinking in your head and what you are actually seeing on the paper is not the same thing. But when you begin to say it aloud, you're able to pick up on your own mistakes. You're able to correct your errors. Read it through, and always, always, always apply early. Sometimes in applying early, you are able to indicate to the committee some of the flaws or some of the weaknesses in their application process. There's one foundation that recently launched a scholarship, for example, in St. Thomas, and the application indicates that you must apply XYZ to XYZ information. Somebody called me and they said, but there's no application form. And when I researched it, I recognized that indeed there's no application form. Can you imagine that was the night of the deadline of the application that you're discovering that, whoa, there's no form? So when you apply early, you're able to see what are the things that you need to strengthen on, what are the things that you need to improve, and how can you help to make the process better. So I advise the person, not only can you reach out to them with this information, you can draft a form and suggest to them that this is a direction that indeed they could go, because indeed it is a brand new foundation that really is just trying to support the dreams of some young people. No, make every application count. Sometimes you'll be applying for a scholarship and you'll say to yourself, I'm not qualified, or there are persons that are better than me. I remember, for example, when I was at the NTB interviews for the national level, I was definitely telling myself that, persons are here that are better than I am. But at the end of the day, it was not about the fact that they were better than I am. It was about the fact that every mistake for me and every failure was a chance to learn and to do better. What was one of those mistakes that I look back at and I continue to cherish to this day? Firstly, brand new country picnic, come to town for the first time, take bus, going to NTB Atrium, and I didn't have a clue where I was going. So when I got to Crossroads and I saw the NTB Towers, I said, this must be it. But always read. When I came out of the bus, I was like, this is it. And I read. I said, but no, this is not it. So I had to walk down to Crossroads, get a taxi from there, and then find my way to the atrium. So I'm already, a little shaken because I got lost in town. Then I get to the interview and I recognize that other persons, they were coming with a whole bus of supporters. And I felt though at that point as though I was just like a fish out of water, alone by myself and not able. But you see, when I opened my mouth that very first question, that very first morning, since then, Tamara McHale and Princeton Brown, Dr. Princeton Brown, they are scholars, national scholars before me. Since the very first question, they were saying, Anisha, we're rooting for you. Why were they rooting for me? Yes, I get lost. Yes, I came alone. Yes, I felt in myself that I was inadequate. But because I felt this way, it didn't mean that everybody else around me needed to participate in that negative energy. And it is how we manage our energy and manage our interaction with other people that sometimes will cause us to walk away with scholarships that we apply for, probably are qualified for, but we would not have gotten it because, the foundations, they're really they're about, their tax break and other stuff, and they're not always given to corporate citizenship. But sometimes you must give them a story that is so compelling, so impactful, you must be so willing to lead change that they say to themselves, really, I cannot leave this one behind. And so measure yourself with each application. You'll get a lot of turnbacks. You'll get a lot of no, you're not successful. But in the process, allow yourself to always make memories, make connections. I remember I met a Miss Cunningham, Petrina Cunningham, from the process. Every time I wanted to go downtown, I was able to call her because I'm a good little country baby. I don't know town, but she was able to walk us down there and bring us through that shortcut because this is a part of the growing process. And what I've done here really is to put together a little synopsis. I hope it's not too small for you, but your personal essay, your winning essay really takes the form of a story for me, literally. It starts, you can start at the beginning or you can start at the end. I choose in this scenario to start at the beginning. What is my beginning? My beginning is as a student of development, I know what it is to suffer all the ills of the absence of development. So I'm starting out here where I'm saying, look here, I was in abject poverty. I was living on the banks of the river. We were exposed to natural and man-made disasters. And in all of that, I saw the value of education as being an opportunity to escape this. Having escaped this, having gotten up to the level of university education, it's not that I'm not willing to turn my back on everybody else, but I want to use this information to help my community and my country really to chart a course that says we can plan better. We can use this information for strategic analysis. We can use this information for policy planning. We can use this information to move other persons forward. And that is why I believe, for example, I should get this particular scholarship. The verdict is still out. I will let you know what the decision will be in that instance. There is no one way to write your essay. There is no particular structure. All I can advise you is that it must conform to the rules of grammar and it must be within the word limit. That is an important point. If the folks say 500 words, do not be cute and decide to write 550. Write 500 words. Finally, it is important as we go through applying for scholarships and applying for degrees and self-empowerment that we understand that sometimes it's not good enough to be, well, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, and to be content within that, especially within the space in which we now operate. There are so many careers that are outside the traditional zone, and these careers, they are impactful, they're just as meaningful, and they're just as fulfilling. I've listed a few here on the screen. I don't know if I'll be able to send the slides after so you could share with the young people, but I'm just saying, think outside of the box when you're applying. One of the good things for me that worked in my favor when I applied for the NCD scholarship was that for the life of that foundation to date, I believe I was the only student of social policy that had applied. I mean, initially I wanted to do sociology, but then I was like, sociology just sounds so traditional. Let's do social policy. And just by doing that, I was able to turn the end of the committee. They're like, social policy, tell me more. Just by saying I want to do biomed, or just by saying I want to do forensic analysis. Just by picking something out of the box, you already have your foot in the door, because chances are the funders to whom you're applying may be intrigued just to hear more from you. Having said that, it is always important to future-proof your resume. It is not, applying for a scholarship is not a matter of, oh, today I need a scholarship, so let me apply, but it is something that you're always doing. When you're in your Sunday school classes, when you're in your community, when you're in your local parish youth club or you're just volunteering at the basic school down the road, these are opportunities to future-proof your resume and to say, I am not just a student that is bright, or I'm not just a student that wants you to support my dream, but when you support my dream, I am supporting community development. These opportunities here, they are not exhaustive, but there are many others. And I'm saying to you, give yourself the opportunity to stand out from the rest. Finally, dream of where you want to go and how you want to get there. Research all of your options, research your funnels, edit, edit, edit again. And when you think you have edited it, edit it again, assess your eligibility. It doesn't make sense. You want to do social science and you see a scholarship for something in physics or mathematics and you decide to apply. But check yourself and make a reasonable assessment. Make every application count. And finally, don't allow yourself to be limited by fear. It's good to be frightened for 5 minutes, but after that, get up and send out the application. Do not copy and paste anything that you found on the internet. Funny enough, I copied and pasted that line exactly from the internet. But the point is, do not allow yourself to just say, oh, what do I want to become again? Google. And you copy and paste. Make your voice be heard in it. Check, recheck, then double check. And ask your mentors and your friends to read your essay and to give you feedback about it. Never stop dreaming. And if you never stop dreaming, you'll always be writing winning personal essays. Thank you. I'm not sure if there are any questions. I'll be able to answer. Thanks much.
Thank you so much for that, Miss Lancaster. That was amazing. That was incredible. I mean, I learned a few stuff, even just, writing down. By the way, if you do have any questions, we're going to have a question and answer segment. So we'll have time for, questions for both speakers. But, Miss Lancaster, I really want to thank you for that presentation. Very short, but it's spicy. You have all the information there. And I really appreciate that. There are some things I wrote down here just to reiterate. Even with my own experience, I can tell that you're analyze. I tell people that's all I can put out there. She's not lying. She's been through it, and based on how she spoke and my experience, I can see them kind of correlating right there. You understand? So what you said, it's they're gems. That's all I can say. And I hope everybody is listening. I hope you're hearing. I hope you're writing. Now, one of the biggest things that you said, Miss Lancaster, is that you are talking about how we should limit the fear. So obviously, when you're going to be applying for scholarships, you're going to feel nervous. That fear is going to come over you, but attitude is everything. And based on my experience, the truth is you have to believe that you're going to get the scholarship in order to get the scholarship. You have to believe. So, I know sometimes you have to search deep down in your soul to say, yes, I am as good as everybody else here. I deserve this. You have to believe it. As Miss Lancaster said when she showed up to that interview in her people, she never have a busload of supporters nowhere. It was just she and her country self going to the interview. You get me? So you have to believe in yourself. You have to be your first biggest supporter for anybody else around you to believe in you and to believe that, yes, you can get this scholarship. Right? And I just wanted to put out there that a lot of the times we might feel insecure. We might feel that, we don't deserve this. We're not good enough like that other candidate over there. But I wanted to tell you this. In terms of writing a scholarship essay, I think you should, Miss Lancaster, you can let me know if I'm foolish with me at all, but based on my experience, it is good to be a little vulnerable within your essay. And why I say that is because for me personally, I use that fear, I use that vulnerability, I use my biggest insecurity to form my scholarship essay. That was the basis of it. And when whichever donor sat down and they read it, they were able to tell that, okay, I struggled with this. However, through all of this, through the body of the essay, I was able to accomplish this. And I'm still working to accomplish whatever else I put in the essay. You get me? So that is one thing that you need to, sit down and think about your story. What is your story? Sit down, write it down before you even start writing your essay, because there are different stories you could tell. You have experienced life differently from everybody else, but which story do you want to tell today for this scholarship to ensure that you're successful in this process? Thank you so much for that, Miss Lancaster. I do hope you can stay until the next speaker goes so that we can have our question and answer segment with you. All right, so we're moving on to the next speaker for this afternoon, a very good friend of mine, Miss Kenisha Henry. Now, Kenisha Henry is a young professional who is passionate about empowering youth, spreading the knowledge of youth opportunities, and she finds joy in volunteering. She has played a myriad of roles in various youth advocacy and youth service bodies, including the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica, UISTAT Vice Chancellor's Ambassador Corps, and the Faculty of Science and Technology's Guild Committee at the University of the West Indies. She serves as the co-founder of the All About Scholarships initiative, and her team has assisted students from across the island from primary to tertiary level with the application process for the past 2 years. She has also written a comprehensive scholarship journal to further assist said students. She's a recipient of the NCB Foundation Scholarship, national champion, might I add, and currently pursues a Bachelor of Science in Pure and Applied Biochemistry. Her hope is that by making information about the scholarship application process more accessible, more students will take advantage of the opportunities. Her mantra is, in all that you do, pray, prepare, and execute excellently. Ladies and gentlemen, I do welcome to the virtual stage, Miss Kenisha Henry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for introducing me, Aishima. I appreciate it. And thank you, Miss Lancaster, for that wonderful presentation. I'm here and I'm going to present, and I'm telling you, I learned from that as well. And so, as I'm about to present, I want to just thank all of you for coming out for this event. The fact that you're here alone proves that you're more serious than a lot of other people. Yes, so big up yourself for that, and stay put for the presentation. I hope you have your pens ready and your notepads, or you have your note app open on your phone, because a lot of what Miss Lancaster mentioned we'll be going through, but there's also a twist to it. So stay put. I'm gonna share my screen now. I'm ready. So we're gonna be talking about essay tips, right? So Miss Lancaster went into a very beautiful demonstration of how your essay should be written, and I love that. And I feel like my presentation just going to be like a short revision of what she said, because it was excellently presented, but I'll go right ahead anyway. So here are the main things that we'll be discussing: the prompt, your hook, seeking help, your essay approach, splurging on words, then summarizing, and lastly, the final stages. So the prompt, whenever you have a scholarship essay, 9 out of 10 times they give you a prompt, especially if you're applying for a tertiary one. And so whenever you get that prompt, you must ask yourself, what is this prompt asking me? Common scholarship prompts ask, what are you studying, and why do you want to study that, and why should we give you this scholarship? So that's what they commonly ask. What are you studying? Why are you studying that? And why should we give you this scholarship? And so what I usually do when I'm helping persons to answer this prompt is tell them to break it down. If the prompt is one long question, break down the questions and answer it in parts if you really don't know what to do at first. And after breaking it down and answering it, then you can move to the next stage of writing that essay. But before we jump to the prompt, I want to say that you have to have a plan. So when you have the prompt and you understand it, you break it down and you write in parts, you have to have a plan of how you're going to make this go seamlessly and ensure that whatever you put on paper will be something that captures the attention of the reader and adequately tells your story. So the hook. A lot of the times, you know, when I'm helping students or when I hear feedback from persons who actually mark essays, they say a lot of students use a lot of cliche starting. So they might say at something that 50 other students said that Marcus Garvey said, or 50 other students mentioned a Nelson Mandela quote, or 50 other students mentioned, you know, heights of great men reached and kept, and something of the sort. And, you know, while it's great to have, you know, a prompt of a quote that somebody else has said, it's, never mind the dog. It's always good to ensure that whatever you're starting with is not cliche. I promise you, they probably have seen that Marcus Garvey quote that you're gonna start with, and I don't know, you don't want them rolling the eyes in the first read your essay. So whatever you're going to start with, it either has to be something that's eye-catching and reveals a part of your story, like Madam Lancaster shared her essay before, and the first line, from you read the first line, you just see that this is going to be an awesome story. Is your essay going to start with a first line that says, hey, this essay is going to be an awesome essay, or this essay is going to be an awesome story? Or is it going to be something plain and mundane that they've already seen 50 other times on 50 different essays? And especially if you do choose to use a quote from somebody else, please don't leave off their name. That's plagiarism, and that's not a good sign. So if you do choose to use a popular quote that you live by, please ensure to put their names. But I really do suggest that you start with a hook that's personal and eye-catching. So into the essay itself now. As I already mentioned, plan your essay based on the prompt. Plan your essay and write it ahead. You cannot just, well, you can, but you know, it's a part of a plan. Some persons, they get a piece of paper, fold a leaf, open a Word document, and they write point by point what they're going to write. Other people, and that's excellent. Other people might just get a piece of paper, open a Word document, and write to their heart's content. Plan. You always have a plan. Ensure that whatever you're writing or whatever you intend to write matches the prompt accurately, so that when you finish your editing, you finish summarizing, and you're going over it, it doesn't sound like a bag of jumbled words. Like you want to say something, but you get lost in your own words trying to express yourself, as Ms. Lancaster had already mentioned. Research the scholarship provider so as to tailor your essay and give them what they're looking for. If this scholarship provider is looking for students who are going into engineering and are passionate about that, then you need to ensure that whatever you're writing is going towards that. If they are a needs-based scholarship, then you have to express the need. If they are a scholarship that's looking for students who are a part of Key Club, then you need to write about your experience in Key Club. You have to at some point mention your experience in Key Club. Whatever they're looking for, you have to ensure that you provide it in that essay. And for many people, they have a master essay or like one long essay that they write, and whenever they're writing another essay, they take things out of that, just so that they don't forget really small, important details. And I recommend that you can do that as well. Never submit your master essay, yes, but it's good to have a master essay that you can take things from and change it around and ensure that you apply it to these other essays. Use college level grammar. Oh, and feel free to screenshot the PowerPoint. I'll send it if I can, but you're okay. I'm okay with you screenshotting it. Use college level grammar. What do I mean by that? If your essay starts with I am Sarah Benningham, red flag. If your essay starts with basic primary school, or at any point in there has some basic primary school level sentences, I am a boy, she is a girl, so forth, they're not going to see you as a person who can express themselves at the level that they want to fund you, if you get what I'm saying. So use college level grammar, but at the same time, don't overdo it. Don't open a dictionary and use a bag of words that you don't understand and then end up looking like, you know, somebody who's trying way too hard. Use words that you understand, or try new words, of course, but ensure that in incorporating them, they're actually expressing what you mean to say. Use transition words. So if you start your essay, you're going on to your second paragraph, you can say something like, you depending on what you were saying before, you can say something like secondly, additionally, and so forth. And if you don't use transition words, ensure that if you are starting a new paragraph, you and it connects to what you were previously saying seamlessly. And there are ways to do that. You can look it up online, but I'm just trying to let you know that making sure your transition is seamless is a good part of the structure, making sure that the structure of your essay is great. Start strong and end strong. So we've already mentioned that you don't want to start with a cliche. You want to have a wonderful introduction to your story and to your essay. Why do I keep saying story? But your essay is your story. But when you start strong, you have to end strong as well. You don't want to start off well and then by the end of your essay, you're just saying, that's why you should give me this scholarship. No. Have a closing paragraph that summarizes your essay well and also brings home the point that this is why you are seeking their funding. Tell your story creatively and avoid an absolute sob story. And when I say avoid an absolute sob story, I mean, don't just talk about every single terrible thing that has happened in your life unless it's a story of resilience. You can't say my cat died, she stepped on a bee, my uncle, burned down the house and left us homeless, and no, I don't know what I want to do, so I'm applying for this scholarship. You know what I mean? If you're going to incorporate something, ensure that there's a point in that where you prove your resilience. My dog stepped on a bee, so I took him to the vet, and in taking him to the vet, I understood the importance of so and so and so. I overcame this and my dog got better. You get what I'm saying? If you're going to share a sob story, make sure it's one that shows resilience. And nothing's wrong with a sob story. We all have instances in our lives where, things have been unfortunate. But if you're going to share it, you want to show your resilience, you want to show that you have overcome it, because a lot of other students are going to share their story without remembering to share how they've overcome it or how they are currently overcoming it and plan to, as Aishiba mentioned before. So don't think that you're going to write the story and they're going to just burst into tears and say, oh my gosh, this girl deserves, or guy deserves the scholarship. They want to, if they do burst into tears, they want to know that there is hope. We all want to see a happy ending. And so, yeah, ensure that you do that. And if they ask you to conduct research, like for example, the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission scholarship, they ask you to write a paper on student gambling, ensure that you cite properly and don't plagiarize. Yeah. Seek help seek help from persons who already have the scholarship. So if you're applying for the NTB Foundation scholarship, if you're applying for the Sagicor scholarship, Burger King scholarship, go on LinkedIn, go on Facebook, go on Gleaner, go on the foundation's page and look for students who already have them, who already had the scholarships, and reach out to them. How do I make myself stand out as a good candidate? Because you can have everything, but if you don't know how to write it properly, if you don't know how to present yourself in that email, in that interview properly, then you're gonna miss the mark and you're not gonna get the scholarship. So who better to ask than those who already have it? And a lot of them are readily available there to share the information. A lot of them are open with sharing that. I am very open about sharing my experience, and whenever persons reach out to me, I always share. So reach out to persons who already have the scholarships for tips on how to write the essay, or tips on how to apply properly, tips on how to go into that interview and absolutely smash it, because they're there and it's help that you're seeking. Yeah. And seek help from persons who can give you great pointers. So if you have a teacher who's excellent at essay writing, or if you have a friend who's excellent at essay writing, somebody who's excellent at reviewing things and giving good feedback, reach out to them with your essay after you've written it and you've edited it. Because you might write your essay and you're thinking, wow, this is a masterpiece. But when somebody else reads it, they're like, you could probably word that a bit better. That's why it's important to seek help. So don't be afraid. Don't be like, oh, I don't want anybody to read my essay and feel something, feel what I'm going through. unless it's that provider. Because I went through that at one point. I was like, I'm not sure if I want somebody else to read my essay. But if you want to be better, you have to be able to take criticism from others, constructive criticism, and better yourself and write a better essay. Oh, and we're almost at the end. So splurge on words and then summarize. So initially, as I said before, a lot of persons, they might just write, and then summarize. I'll suggest that you do that. A lot of persons work well like that. I work well like that. If I have a prompt, if I have something, I will write without the word limit in mind. And then when I'm done, I cut it off. Was this necessary? Was that necessary? Maybe not. And in writing that entire thing, you can end up with a master essay. And instead of deleting certain things, you can start a fresh page, cut and paste out of that master essay and add to it to apply for that scholarship. So if you're a person who likes to just write freely and then cut it down, edit it, and ensure that you meet that word limit. And lastly, these are essentials to remember. When you're writing an essay, they're looking for grammar and spelling. So you want to ensure that you're using your words correctly, you're spelling the words correctly. In Jamaica, we use the British English, I'll say it like that, standard Jamaican English to spell things, and that comes from the British system. So if you have a spelling system on your word, so for example, you use Grammarly, or you want to just use Word and they always have the underline on those certain words, ensure that your settings are set to England, English in the UK, England, because we spell things different from how the US spells things. So you don't want to put CLOR when you should put CLOUR. You know what I'm saying? So change your settings in whatever typing software that you're using, whatever grammar systems that you're using, change your settings to the UK or to England. Creativity. Again, when you're telling your story, when you're writing your essay, you don't want to seem mundane. You don't want to say, oh, I deserve this scholarship because I was in Key Club and I helped people and I'm a good student with straight A's. You need to show how all of these things make you eligible, because you could be in, the clubs, you could be involved, you could be doing this and that, and you just put it on the paper and it's just there. Somebody that I know once told me that it's better to show than to tell. So instead of saying, oh, I'm a great student, I'm a rounded student, I'm a this and that, express it creatively. Say, use words, use sentences to express how you are creative, to express how you're a rounded student, what makes you that individual. So instead of just putting it there, because anybody can put it there, I'm a straight A student, I'm good at basketball, I'm this and that. Sure. So instead of saying, I want to give you a sentence as an example. Instead of saying, I'm a reliable person and I'm honest, give a brief scenario, give an anecdote or something of the sort. Again, stay within the word limit, but know that it's always better to show than to tell in most cases. Prompt coverage, that's what you also have to be mindful of. In all your writing, ensure that you're meeting the prompt perfectly. If they ask you 3 main questions, make sure that you're answering those 3 main questions no matter what you're writing or no matter how you decide to write that essay of yours. Content and the structure. They want to know that the paragraphs are structured properly. They want to know that the content in it is appropriate for what you're applying for. As Madam Lancaster already said, if you're applying for a scholarship that's geared towards a certain group of people or a certain degree, you don't want to be talking about something else. Talk about what they want you to talk about. So they're mindful of the content and of course the word limit. If the word limit is 500, as Madam Lancaster said, don't go 550. If it's 100, don't go 110 or 200. You might think that you have a wonderful essay and you need to write over the word limit in order to fully express yourself, but I've never heard of a story of somebody who went way over the word limit and was successful. Because if you can't obey simple instructions, then why should they invest in somebody who can't follow a couple words on a screen? It's very important that you do that. And lastly, the format. A lot of people don't mention this, and a lot of people are not sure what to use. So I'll just, let you know. Comma, just like in class, you have to use Times New Roman, font size 12, double spaced, and ensure that it's a PDF, the essay is a PDF or a Word document, unless they state otherwise. If they state otherwise, then follow those instructions. But the general format is this, the common format. And if they do say you have to cite, whatever citing instructions they give, so if it's APA, if it's chemistry, if it's international chemistry citing, if it's this or that, follow those citing instructions as well. And lastly, tackling scholarship anxiety. We mentioned this right before the transition into my presentation, but listen, everybody's feeling it. Everybody is worried that they might not get this. Everybody is thinking that maybe my essay is not enough. Everybody is at a place where they don't have enough confidence. But the difference between everybody and you depends on you. So if you decide that, oh, I'm not good enough and it don't make no sense, I apply and I can put on that and that's not for me, then you're right. You're absolutely right. So I want you to remember what Aishiba said, or Madam Lancaster said, and what I'm about to say as well. If you decide that this scholarship is yours, best believe that you're going to put out the effort, the utmost, put your utmost based on that paper and that application, and ensure and be confident that you'll be able to get it. Let me just share a brief story. I am an NCB Foundation scholar, right? And I applied for this scholarship in fifth form, and I was rejected at first because I got all ones, at the CSEC level, and I was like, yeah, that's great, I have all ones, and I was in some clubs, but I never really, did much. And then, after that, I spent 2 years at sixth form, and I best believe those are the best 2 years of my high school life. And I'm kind of glad that they rejected me initially, because those 2 years I used to find myself. I found out that I like badminton. I found out that I like to volunteer. I found out a lot of stuff. And especially right after leaving university, I started the All About Scholarships initiative. And that's why I'm here now. And then after leaving high school, I should say, I started the initiative. And that's why I'm here now, talking to you guys. And, I applied again. And this time, after 2 years after my first application, I got through, because this time I realized what I needed to do. I had more experience, and I had more confidence. And so I followed all the steps that I gave you guys, and I applied, and I was successful. Thanks be to God. I believed on that second attempt that, I could do this, I could get this. And based on all the things that I've been doing, based on my new perspective after 2 years of sitting back and really reflecting on myself, I was not only eligible, but somebody who could actually get the scholarship. I went in there for a parish champion scholarship, which is $300,000, right? Because just like Madam Lancaster, because we have the same scholarship, I was like, there are so many awesome people. There are people who want to be doctors here and all of that. Their tuition is a lot more than mine, so they're probably going to get the national scholarship. But I got the national scholarship, and it's more than enough to cover my tuition and a lot of other expenses that I have in university, and I'm thankful for that. You have to believe that you can get through the door, and once you pray, prepare, and you execute excellently, ladies and gentlemen, it did it for you. You have to be confident. You have to be confident when you're writing, and you'll be all good. And finally, that's final. And finally, if you do want to reach out to me or the All About Scholarships initiative, because we do offer essay editing for free. Well, we walk you through the process. You read your essays, We talk to you, we ask you what you really want to say, we point you in the right direction. And we do that for free because a lot of us on the team are scholarship recipients. We've been there, we've done that, and we just want to help out other students like us who are in a position that we were in a couple of years ago, for free, of course. If you want to reach out to me, my information is right here. And if you want to reach out to us or send us an email, then our information is also here. Follow us on Instagram. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope that the information that we shared this evening is more than enough to assist you on your scholarship journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kenisha. Thank you so much, Miss Lancaster. We really, really appreciate it. Pure gems, that's all I have to say. Right now, I'm actually going to open up the floor for questions so that we can answer them. Guys, this is the moment when you take out the notebook because they are right. Everything what they are saying, I didn't have the questions. It's your time to ask them. So you'll get the opportunity to do that right now. And while I wait on questions from you that you're definitely going to send, I believe in you, you're going to send them. I have some questions for Miss Lancaster and for Kenisha. Miss Lancaster, I'd love to start with you. So I did a scholarship session the other day, and I found that this question is a very important question because the answer is always interesting when I hear it from different persons who speak. Now, you know, both of you said in your presentations that it is good to have somebody look over your scholarship essay. But I want to ask you, suppose I have 10 friends at UWI who get scholarships, and I want those 10 people to look over my scholarships and give me advice on how to fix it. Do you advise that I do that? Is that good or is that bad?
Well, I thank you for the question. I assume with you going to all 10 friends, you will be applying for this scholarship probably 2.5 years in advance. If that is not the case, one of the things that you must do in how you approach your review is to be as strategic as you are in how you approach the scholarships themselves. Why do I say that? For example, if you have 10 friends who are all in digital marketing, then what you're doing is to inundate yourself with the same perspective. What you need to do is to say, okay, I need somebody who is probably in econ, and I need somebody who is probably in digital marketing, and I need somebody who is probably in humanities and education. And you get the different perspective, put them together and get yourself a rounded essay. But to have 10 people tell you 10 things that are similar but not same, but from the same perspective, really is to frustrate yourself. And as I said, unless you have 2.5 years time between yourself and your deadline, what you want to do is to select persons who will be bringing unique perspective and allow that uniqueness to lead you. And also, while it is very, very good to get perspective from individuals, sometimes I must caution that you must understand what your story is, because you and I might be sitting in a room and we're looking at the same blank screen. For me, it is, well, a blank screen. For you, it is an opportunity to project something that relates to the next best thing since sliced bread. So while perspectives are important, sometimes you must understand that people may not be at the space where they're able to advise you according to how you need to be advised at a particular time. So first option, choose a quota of people who represent different perspectives. Second option, bypass the 10 people, go to one and say, it is you, your review, and what they offer as guidance. You take that and move forward.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lancaster. I have a question here. Ken, I'll let you answer this one. So Gabriel Johnson is saying, I have a question as it relates to the formatting of the essay. What if the organization asks you to submit a 1-page essay? Should we still use double spacing? which I'm guessing it might go over into a second page. Kenisha, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. If they didn't specify the spacing and they said one page, then I would say you can use one single line spacing. But I'd recommend that you also ask the institution. You know, you can never go wrong in just asking them. So give them a call, give them, send them an email, and let them respond to that and see if they mind.
Okay, great. So Gabriel is saying thank you. And, on that note, Kenisha said, reach out to the donors. Let me tell you this. Reach out to the donors. Whoever is giving us, if you don't know something and you don't know anybody who can actually help you, just reach out to them. I remember submitting an application one year, and I didn't get any confirmation that it went through. Nothing came up on my laptop and everything. And I reached out to the donor, and the donor was like, "Yes, Aishiba, we got your 10 applications," because I didn't know if it went through. But just knowing that they got it, that was fine with me. I don't care if it was sent 10 times, but I just wanted to know that they actually got it. So if there's something you're not sure of, Ms. Lancaster can help you, Kenisha can help you, just ensure that you reach out to the organization or the donor that's providing the scholarship. Ms. Lancaster, you kind of touched on this a bit, but I want to ask this question in a different way. What is the harm in having someone else write your essay for you? So suppose you're living in a household with writers, amazing writers, and your mom knows your story. So your mom writes the essay for you. What is the harm in that?
Two things. Thank you for that question. Recently, my niece was doing her communication studies internal assessment, and she was like, "Let me pay you to write my reflective piece." And I said, "I won't do it." And she says to me, "But you provide the service and you know me." And I was like, well, if I do it for you, one, I'm denying you the opportunity to grow in that area, because for her, writing is a weakness. She's a student of science, very gifted in sciences, but writing for her is a weakness. So I said, one, I would be denying you the opportunity to grow in this area. And two, the problem with having somebody do for you such a thing as a personal essay, yes, it might be your sister or your cousin or your auntie or your friend who knows you second to how you know yourself. But missing out on that opportunity really means that you are missing out on another opportunity to remind yourself as to why you're in this. And as all of us mentioned today, you'll get to a point in the process when you're saying, I am not deserving, or John Brown or maybe Mary Tom is better deserving. When you sit down and take that opportunity to write your story, you are reminding yourself, why am I in this and why I deserve not just to be in this, but to be selected. So also, there is the fact that somebody writing your story, they do not need to pay attention to the word limit. They do not need to pay attention to the prompt, as Kenisha said. They do not need to put the hook in there that you would use. They do not care for all of these things, because for them, it is just another exercise. For you, this is an intimate experience, because you know that, well, all of university depends on it, or you know that, well, my dream to become what I want to become depends on this. So there are a lot of reasons really why we should move away from the idea of, oh, I don't like writing, let me have somebody do it. The first one, growth mindset. You know that this is a challenge for you, allow yourself the opportunity to grow by putting yourself to the challenge that you particularly don't like. And not only will you grow in writing your own essay, but also you will have the opportunity to say, well, I never used to do this well, and now I am better able to.
All right, thank you so much for that, Ms. Lancaster. Before I move on over to Kenisha, I have one more question for you, and this will be our final question for you, Ms. Lancaster. Melissa Hart, over on YouTube, big up everybody watching on YouTube, by the way, is asking, suppose you really don't know what you want to do, but you do need help with your tuition. What are your tips for that? What do I put in the essay when I really and truly don't know what I want to do with my life?
I appreciate that question. It is true that there are situations in which you're at the end of high school, you're in university, and you're really not yet sure what you want to do. One of the things I would advise, even before you get to the personal essay, is to do for yourself a 5-year or a 10-year plan. Where do I see myself down the road? And that is why, for me, the dream was so important. Where am I going and how am I going to get there? If you can get that dream together, it might not be specific to say, okay, I want to do radiology, or I want to do gerontology, or I want to do special education. It may not be that specific, but if you can see yourself down the road, one of the things is, in order to get down the road, you'll begin to see some of the steps that you want to go. These steps will help you to distinguish, do I want to go to teachers college, or do I want to go to university? Do I want to go to Hart? And when you begin to see those things fall into place, then it will begin to guide some of your basic steps. Yes, it is okay to write an essay that says, I want to become X or Y. You don't have to say, well, absolutely, I must become X. And if I don't become X, I am not going to live anymore. You have the freedom to say, look here, my life demonstrates such quality and such resilience, as Kenisha said, that at the end of the day, if I don't get plan A, I'll consider plan B. And if I don't get plan B, I'll consider plan C. So you have that freedom to say to persons, I don't have all of it figured out right now, but I know that I'm going down the road. And this is why you should fund this journey, because you'll have the adventure that I'll be having too.
Wow. Boy, Miss Lancaster, I'm not lying at that part. It sounds like something I put in one of my essays. Like, that was perfectly said. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for that answer. My last question is for you, Kenisha, before we close out. Now, Kenisha, I don't know if you remember, but you and I had a conversation sometime last year when we were applying for scholarships, and we both saw this certain video on TikTok. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yo, can you see this video? And you were like, yo, I saw this video. I was like, yo, I'm going to try to use this structure to do my essay. And that is exactly what I did. So although my essay was completely different from that video that we saw, I still used the idea, and I used my story to make it different from that other person's essay. And I got the scholarships, which showed that it worked. But I really want to ask you.
Rose, she said scholarships. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. I got the scholarships. But I want to know from you, what do you think about using social media and using TikTok as a means of learning how you can write your scholarship essays, in terms of getting your tips and like just putting a little creative edge to your essays?
That's a good question. All right. So for one, I use social media and a lot, well, of course, I use social media for the purpose of like enriching myself. That's how I find opportunities. Like I haven't bought a newspaper in a very long time. And so how I find opportunities is by using optimizing my Instagram page, my TikTok page, my For You page, my I don't really use Facebook, but my YouTube, to push things to me that I want to see. So every now and then, look up stuff about scholarship essays, about scholarship application process locally and overseas, so that you optimize all these home pages to feed your mind and keep your mind on these things, to make you see different perspectives, and so that you don't feel confined and stuck in a box when it comes to expressing yourself in an essay. Why is TikTok becoming the new Google for me? Well, it can be. So use these platforms to expose yourselves to different perspectives by looking up these things. Like, it's not gonna just come up on your For You page, even though TikTok does that sometimes, randomly put stuff on your For You page when you think about it. But if you look for them, if you follow the hashtags, if you click on the hashtags and actively search out these things, they're gonna pop up on your For You page. And it's wonderful. It's amazing that we have this world of information available to us at our fingertips, because it allows us to be exposed to stuff like what Aishiba just mentioned, the letter S, essay. I have it on my phone.
Yeah, you definitely have to share it with everybody here. Trust me, guys, you want to listen to it. It's interesting.
All right. If I can find the name of the girl before we leave, I'll share her TikTok handle. But yeah, you can use social media to ensure that your mind, your space isn't confined to a Jamaican or your how do I put this? It's not confined to a Jamaican environment alone or your personal environment. Yeah. There's a lot of things out there in the world for you to discover, and the internet can be used for good. So use it for good and use it to better yourself.
So true. Thank you so much, Kanisha. So nearing to the end, so I was asked to just give a testimonial on why I applied for my scholarships and how it impacted my university journey. For me, I had to apply for a scholarship. My story is very interesting, and I always said that I'd share it at a time that I think is right. And I think this time is right, you know, in this intimate space here. No, I got to pay for first year. All right, fine, because my grandmother had put down that money, you know, in case anything happened to her to go to university. And in the second year and third year, I would probably take out a loan and finish school. When I started UWI, my grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. Right as I was about to start university, that happened. So my first year was just really, it was awful. But then when I got to second year, I don't know how to explain this, but it's as if the support that I had from my family, it wasn't there anymore. Whether emotional, financial, I was literally on my own now. And I was like, okay, fine. I know what I want for my life, you know. So I'm going to have to sort this out. I planned on not even continuing university. I was just going to maybe get a job and maybe come back in a few years, you know, stuff like that. But I decided to give the whole scholarship thing a try. And so I applied for a few scholarships. I applied for over 20 scholarships from UWI alone, and, you know, a lot more outside of the university space. And I got through for about 5 interviews. I got shortlisted for 5 of those scholarships outside of UWI. I went to those interviews and I was successful in 3 of those interviews. So I got the 3 scholarships. So 1 scholarship I had to give up, you know, because certain scholarships, you know, they don't allow you to keep another if depending on whatever they say. So I had to give up 1, but I got the 2. So I was able to get those 2. My living situation was awful. So I had to leave home to come live on campus. It was literally toxic. I don't know if anybody here can understand, but I could not thrive as I know I can in that environment. So I decided to leave. I'm able to be here on campus now because of that scholarship, those scholarships rather. And my life has changed immensely. I'm not even going to lie. It has been amazing, but it still has been hard. So while the scholarships they were able to help me, you know, pay for my tuition, pay for my living here on campus, I still needed food. I needed food, but those scholarships could not help me where food was concerned. So I now had to work on that myself. People, let me tell you this, and you guys are the first people outside of my immediate friends who know this. I've been at UB where I've been hungry, where I don't have any food for months. You understand me? So those scholarships, yes, they were able to pay for my tuition and pay for housing. I needed food to survive. And so that kind of pushed me now to go out into the working world. Now, remember, I told you that I wanted to work and not come university. So I think that fueled my resilience in a sense where I'm able to work and go to school now. And I'm making good money that's able to sustain me. And it helps me to have a little fun at times. You get me? So if it wasn't for everything that had happened to me, every bad thing, every good thing, this experience, you know, I wouldn't have learned through it all, but I'm appreciative of the scholarship to help me to least actualize my dream of becoming, a media practitioner, a digital marketing strategist. I'm really appreciative of that. But that's a little bit of my story. The 2 scholarships that I got were the Carreras Scholarship, the SEEK Scholarship, and the Peace and Love Academic Scholarship. I also got I was successful in the Sagicor Foundation Scholarship, but however, as I was telling you, I had to give up that one, because you can't have all 3. But yes, that's that for me. Just to put it out there, if you want to connect with myself also, you can do it right here. I just sent some information in the chat. I'm also doing a scholarship campaign for my initiative, Intentionally Aiming for More. We had amazing conversations with Chris from Scholarship Jamaica, and that's up on the page. We've had conversations with amazing people to talk about writing your essays, going through the application process and all of that. So you can visit the page right there and just learn from all the information that is there and go on and get your scholarships, because nothing feels better than leaving university debt-free. Nothing feels better than that. All right, so that's that for me. Yeah, that's that. Right, yes, there's one more thing. So I will be doing a scholarship talk with an organization called Study Stream. They're actually located in the UK. That's going to be sometime next week. I think it's June 13th and the 14th. It's going to be an online community with a number of students from different universities across the world. So they're based in the UK, but we have people from South Africa, Indonesia, all over the place, literally, India. So if you guys want to come and learn more from that session, you can just connect with me on my social media platforms, because I'm going to be putting the information there so that you can just join. We're going to be on Zoom, but it's a great way to learn how you can make your application stand out, but also network with other individuals like yourself from different backgrounds in different countries. But I want to thank you guys so much for coming to this event. I know that the Commuting Students Office, the EAC, are really appreciative of your support. I want to just wish you guys best of luck in all that you're doing, in all that you're going to do in terms of your scholarship applications. I wish for you success, and I know that you can do it. Remember that attitude is everything. You have to believe that you're going to be able to achieve that scholarship and get that scholarship. So just remember your attitude. Reach out to myself, Miss Lancaster, Kenisha, Jamel is here. Reach out to all of us, because we're willing to help if you do need any help. Once again, my name is Aishiba Cornwall. It was an honor being your host for this session. Make sure you come out to the rest of the session then for the week. I really, really appreciate it. Have a good rest of the day, guys. Bye.